Muhammad Umar Farooq biological video. Please make sure to subscribe, like and share. Ask the question for answer and comment about the artwork. You can also answer question to each other for solving the problem in the comment below. So today we will discuss about the adrenal gland physiology and biochemistry. We will also discuss about the aspect of anatomical structure. So here we will discuss that is the adrenal gland is in the form of pair which that are present in the upper part of the kidney. So that's the two adrenal gland are present. So here is the kidney which that is ureter and bladder which that connect to release the urine. On the other hand, here is the descending aorta uh, which that is convert into the uh, renal artery and renal vein, which that is I am not drawing here. So here we will discuss about the zoom out it to understand the cross section area of the adrenal gland. So here I am drawing the cross section area of the adrenal gland, which that is made up of medulla and cortex. Cortex is surrounded by the capsule. So the basically zona fasciculata or zona fascicularis are present inside, which that is surrounded, and that's inside basically cortex is contained is here. And on the other hand, zona glomerulosa, which that is the outer capsular part of the adrenal cortex, and the capsule is here, and the zona reticulata or zona reticularis are present in medulla, which they are surrounded by the medulla, and that is mean that's a zone are present. These zone contain a different type of cells which that produce the different steroid. So the steroid is the hormone type which that is the endocrine hormone which that secrete and change the metabolic effect or change the physiology of the human body. So here I am drawing the cross section is here, which that is the capsule, and that's a cortex and medulla contain these type of cells. So here is a cell which the upper part is the capsule which that's surrounded by the artery, and that is known as the capsular artery, and that's whole artery is surrounded, and that's invaginate inside of the cell, and that's really that's absorb the basically steroid, and this steroid or hormone will be absorbed to go by the medullary vein. So the medulla is inside, so that's why inside is the medullary vein, which that is deoxygenated blood containing hormone also, which that's go into the first of all into the heart and that circulation. So remember about that. So here is the capsule, and here is the zona glomerulosa and the zona fascicularis and zona reticularis, which that is here is the medulla and here is the cortex, which that's contain basically the different type of cell in the form of tissue. So here the first is the zona glomerulosa contain a cell which that's produce the mineralocorticoid. So the glomerulocyte are present. So that is the mineralocorticoid is present, that is produce mineralocorticoid which that is known as the aldosterone. Aldosterone is used for the reabsorption of sodium and water into the blood through the glomerular filtration. So the reabsorption will be occur in the nephron. On the other hand, here is the glucocorticoid, which that is a cortisol hormone, is used for the sympathetic nervous system fight and flight response. On the other hand, androgen, that is the testosterone hormone, that's male hormone, and dihydrotestosterone will be produced for the secondary sexual character. On the other hand, here is the epinephrine and norepinephrine will be produced from the medullary cell, which that is the basically medullary cell produce the epinephrine and norepinephrine, which that is the neurotransmitter which stimulate, and these neurotransmitters come from the brain, for example nervous system, and that stimulate to produce epinephrine and norepinephrine, which that is pre-ganglionic synaptic terminal are present, and that's also used for the fight and flight response from the different region to produce the constriction of a blood vessel and vasoconstriction and vasodilation in the specific region. uh, for example, one region is used for the relaxation of the blood vessel. On the other hand, the constriction of the blood vessel is also, for example, digestive system, which that is uh, um, vasoconstriction, while the other is the blood heart, which that is contain a vasodilation to increase the output. On the other hand, here we will discuss about the for example, here is the pituitary gland, which that is upper part is the hypothalamus and the further is the thalamus. So the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, which that stimulate the adrenal gland. So here we will discuss stressors. Stressor can be physical, emotional, including fever, hypoglycemia, hypotension, or hypertension. On the other hand, that's a circadian rhythm, which that is a sleep and awaking that is due to this hormone. So here the corticotropic releasing hormone, which is neurosecretory cell of the hypothalamus produced to stimulate the anterior part of the pituitary gland, is known as adenohypophysis to produce adrenocorticotropic releasing hormone. And these adrenocorticotropic releasing hormone which stimulate the adrenal gland from the different region of the cell. So the sympathetic nervous system, for example, to increase the cortisol from the medulla of the adrenal gland. But here is the adrenal cortex, which that is produce the hormone is glucocorticoid, and this glucocorticoid is raised blood glucose. So the one example of that for understanding you, if and that's glucocorticoid will be stimulate glucocorticoids to stimulate the increase of the blood glucose level to increase. So that is a raised blood glucose um, is basically normally it's not diabetic, but it's normally. Then low glucocorticoid, and that's low glucocorticoid will be relax, and that's positive feedback mechanism when fight and flight response will be occur again. So that's a feedback mechanism will be produced, and this feedback mechanism will regulate the production of glucocorticoid as well as cortisol. So the cortisol, if we will talk about the sympathetic nervous system, is stimulate to produce the cortisol hormone. So the cortisol hormone is contain epinephrine and norepinephrine is used for the vasodilation and vasoconstriction of the, for example, eyes dilation, eyes which that is eye pupil will be delayed. On the other hand, the muscle will be more active, and that's activity is increase and fight and flight response. So that is the feedback mechanism. So in this diagram we have understood about that things, that is the mechanism to produce the hormone which that stimulate the adrenal gland. But further we will discuss about the whole mechanism and production of hormone with a different manner. So here is a blood vessel, which that is, for example, contain a cortisol hormone, glucocorticoid, or some hormone which that enter into the blood. So that is known as the endocrine system. So the endocrine gland will enter is known as the ligand. A ligand means the different type of hormone which that released from the adrenal gland. So that's targeting tissue to increase the metabolic effect or something which gives the response. So on the other hand, next here we will discuss about that is the adrenal gland, and we will discuss about the whole detail of the production of the adrenal gland, production of the hormone from the adrenal gland. So here first of all we will discuss about the adrenal gland, which that is produced from the adrenal medulla and adrenal cortex. So the adrenal medulla and adrenal cortex is produce the hormone differently, and their differentiation is easy to understand. So first of all, we will discuss about the adrenal medulla. So the adrenal medulla produce basically adrenal medulla produce uh, adrenaline. So the adrenaline is used for the dilation of vasodilation, so the relaxation of the blood vessel, as well as relaxation of the blood vessel is allowed to output of heart increase, so the blood move more into the heart, so that is why the heartbeat is more fast, and their circulation will be increased for the giving the sugar and metabolic things for as glucose transporter system from the heart, which that is the all body will require this. On the other hand, that is the stress is give the response to produce adrenaline, and muscle activation and movement and fight and flight response will be occur. So that is the emotion, and that is physical emotional including fever, hypoglycemia, hypertension. Hypoglycemia means the low level of glucose, which that is also stimulate this hormone. On the other hand, that is the noradrenaline. So the noradrenaline, which that is vasoconstriction, it means a constriction of blood vessel. And on the other hand, the glycogenolysis will be formed, and the glucose production, that glycogenolysis means the glycogen breakdown into the glucose, and this glucose enter into the blood to increase the glucose level for the inhibition of the anabolic effect. So that is the metabolic hormone, which that is the catabolism will be formed. That is the catabolism state. So here is the glycolysis will be glycolysis from the glucose form. That glycolysis will be produced, and that's produce the pyruvate, and pyruvate go into the Krebs cycle to produce more ATP. So on the other hand, here is the sympathetic nervous system, which that is enhanced, and the digestive system is the gastrointestinal dilation, and thus digestion will be inhibited by this hormone is noradrenaline. On the other hand, that's the circulation, the blood pressure will be rise. So the rise is the meaning of the rise blood pressure is the noradrenaline, which that is mean the blood pressure increase to transport more things, more substance to the body for further catabolization. So here is the corticosteroid, which that is also produced. That is the type of corticosteroid is the cortisol, corticosterone, aldosterone, and androgen. So the cortisol is the hormone which that is a very destructive hormone during the fight and flight response. And corticosterone is meaning that the corticosterone is also produce the aldosterone and androgen. So the aldosterone is used for the uptake of sodium and water from the kidney to increase the blood pressure. So that is the renin-angiotensin system, which that is enhanced due to these effects aldosterone. So androgen is also for male sexual character enhancement. So here is the mineralocorticoid. The major example of the mineralocorticoid is the aldosterone. There are many, but here we will discuss about the aldosterone. Aldosterone is used for the glomerular filtration to the filtrate substance or go into the Bowman capsule or corpuscle of the nephron, which that is contain potassium, sodium, chloride, and magnesium, and many more protein, etc., which that is uptake the sodium and water from it. So that sodium and potassium uptake into the blood back, that's backflow to increase the blood pressure. So on the other hand, then androgen. So the androgen is the secondary male character to increase the bone density, muscle gain, and hair growth on the body, and beard, deep voice, and the structure of the male. So increase the maleness. So the testosterone and dihydrotestosterone is used for it. So the androgen type of androgen is the testosterone and dihydrotestosterone. So the testosterone is also produced the sperm production. So that sperm production is also due to the androgen. On the other hand, pituitary gland is also produce the gonadotropin releasing hormone, which that is produced from the which that stimulate the testes to produce testosterone and sperm production. But here we will discuss just at the adrenal gland. So the glucocorticoid is also produced, which that is the pancreas produce glucagon to increase the glucose from the glycogenolysis. So the destruction. So here we will discuss about the whole mechanism. Here the glycogenolysis will glycogen convert into the glucose. So glucose is produce a pyruvate by the glycolysis to go enter into the mitochondria and produce ATP and heat. So that the thermogenesis will be formed. That is the thermoregulation maintenance. That is the homeostatic hormone. So the adrenal gland is a basically homeostatic hormone. Homeostasis means the the regulation, the maintenance of body inside as compared to the outside of the environment. So the maintenance is due to the homeostasis. So the homeostasis is due to the gland and due to the blood pressure, due to the glucose level, normal and protein level, cholesterol level. That is all things that are related to the homeostasis. But here we will understand the adrenal gland homeostasis. So that's all homeostasis. If the adrenal gland will produce more hormone, that means the negative feedback mechanism to inhibit the more production of adrenocorticotropic releasing hormone from the pituitary gland. So next here we will discuss about the biochemistry of the adrenal gland. That's the production of hormone and their chemical structure of the hormone. So the cholesterol is the precursor of adrenal hormone. So the cholesterol is important. So that's why here is the cell, which that means the adrenal cell. And adrenal cell contain a mitochondria nucleus. And this nucleolus every organelle are present. For example, Golgi bodies, rough endoplasmic reticulum, ribosome, mitochondria, and vacuole, and that's many more. So here is the receptor which they receive the high density lipoprotein containing a field with cholesterol to give the signal to increase the cholesterol inside of the cell of the adrenal gland. So the entry of the cholesterol is here we will discuss. So here is the cholesterol which that is come from the high density lipoprotein. For example, low density lipoprotein is also made by high density lipoprotein filled with cholesterol. So that's cholesterol filled high density lipoprotein will give the cholesterol to the mitochondria of the adrenal cell. So this cholesterol will enter into the mitochondria of the adrenal cell. So the entry of the mitochondria into the mitochondria, that is the enzyme are present in the mitochondria, is known as cholesterol desmolase. So this cholesterol desmolase is a mitochondrial hormone which create and release the pregnenolone. That's a pregnenolone. This pregnenolone is the first first chemical um, first chemical changes which will be formed, and that's the pregnenolone will be produced. And after all, this is the enzyme used to further production for the that is the precursor of aldosterone. So remember about that thing. So we are going to produce the aldosterone. So here the NAD plus is used for the production of NADH to release the hydrogen, and that enzyme is known as 3-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase enzyme to release the hydrogen ion from the pregnenolone. That's a pregnenolone will be convert into the progesterone. So the progesterone is important hormone which that is the female hormone for pregnancy maintenance. When progesterone will be low and estrogen will be high, that's parturition, and that will be fetus will be delivered in the outside of the environment from inside. So that's the maintenance of the mammary gland is also from this. On the other hand, that's production of another further aldosterone. So these we are missing the chemical reaction, but here is the increased blood volume by sodium uptake and water. So that's we had understood in the previous diagram. So here is the aldosterone produced. This chemical formula is look like this. For example, the hydroxyl group are attached as well as carbon is containing double bond is here. So that is the changes, and that is the aldosterone which that is produced from the zona glomerulosa. So the zona glomerulosa, if we will see the diagram of the anatomy of the cell structure, so we can understand better than so we can understand better. So now here we will discuss about and we will understand that here is the zona glomerulosa which that are present is here, which that is near to the blood. So the near to the blood oxygenated blood, sorry. So that contain a capsular artery. So the capsule, for example, cortex will be produce this hormone. So remember about that things. That's cortex will be produce aldosterone, which use for the that's a mineralocorticoids hormone, which that is a type of mineralocorticoid, which that is the aldosterone will uptake the sodium and water to increase the blood pressure. And next is the basically another cell will produce the another hormone, which that is this hormone will be transferred to the another cell, which that is here is the cytoplasm. Well, after the releasing of the here is the cytoplasm, which that is a chemical reaction is occurring. So that is here is the hydroxylase enzyme used to produce pregnenolone to produce this molecule, and this molecule is a precursor of dehydroepiandrosterone. So this is the dehydroepiandrosterone will be formed, and this form is due to the 1720 lyase enzyme to produce. On the other hand, dehydrogenase enzyme use that enzyme is known as the 3 beta hydroxysterone dehydrogenase enzyme to produce by the releasing of hydrogen from this molecule to produce this structure. So this is the androstenedione, which that will be formed, and this androstenedione will be formed, that is the another hormone. But here is the basically here is the androgen hormone precursor. So this is the androgen hormone precursor. On the other hand, that is the fight and flight response will come from the another hormone precursor, which that produce cortisol from here. So that is here is a 21 beta hydroxylase enzyme used to produce uh, 11 deoxycortisol. So the 11 deoxycortisol will be formed, and that is the precursor of cortisol. So the 11b basically H beta hydroxylase enzyme, for example, beta hydroxylase enzyme used to produce cortisol. So the cortisol is different from the deoxycortisol, 11 deoxycortisol, which that is a different is that means the hydroxyl group will be added. So that's cortisol will be formed. That is the parasympathetic nervous system which stimulate after the stress. So the stress will be increase, enhance that fight and flight response to increase the blood pressure, etc. Increase the catabolic effect, not metabolic. So this is the fascicularis and reticularis zone of fascicularis and reticularis. So this zone is we will understand from there. That is the diagram which that are present. We had understood before. So here I am going back to understand here where is the, so here is the zona fascicularis and zona reticularis is here, which that composed with this cell is the different, and that cell will be basically that cell will be produce the cortisol as well as other hormone. So the androgen hormone is produced from the inner side which that is come from the zona glomerulosa. So that's all things done here. So next video we will discuss about the thyroid gland, etc.